Hi, my name is George Sesser and I live at 8238 Laurel Lane in Cincinnati, Ohio. And this video is a sub-video in my Economic Collapse video series on how to become a ghost. And basically what I'm going to be talking about today are aliases and new types of identifications that you can acquire under false assumed names. And I'm going to only cover the legal ways that you can do this, because if you go in and you sign your name on any type of government identification card, such as a driver's license, that's under penalty of perjury, and that is illegal. So what I'm going to do is tell you how you can acquire a lot of types of identification cards with your photo on it without having to worry about any repercussions from governing officials whatsoever. And basically what you have to do is, first you have to choose the alias that you'd like to acquire a name for. So if your name is George Smith, I would acquire an alias under George Sester, like I did at the start of the video. That way, whenever people say the name George, you're used to responding to it. And what you do is you take your new alias and you start to try to acquire photo identification cards from legitimate sources. And the best way that you can start is simply by printing yourself a fake ID card for a business security badge. And that's just those little things real common that people hang around their necks to get into offices and whatnot. And you just do it under your own company name, make it look very legitimate with your photo and your alias name printed on it. Then you want to go to a store and buy yourself a credit card gift card. And these are those anonymous gift cards with the MasterCard logo on it. And what you want to do is register that card in your alias name and start receiving orders under that alias. And this would go great if you had the housing in a city, in the anonymous housing I discussed in the previous video, in the city that you're doing this new identification with. That way you'll have an address tied in with that name under a credit card order, and you can have a receipt for it. Eventually you can go and say, well, here's my work ID, here's some receipts I got, I lost my wallet or my wallet was stolen, I don't have my new driver's license yet. You know, you can take that up to many businesses such as gyms or warehouse clubs and just work your way around, because you're going to get rejected at some places, but other places will accept it and they'll give you a new photo ID. And what you can do with all those photo IDs is you can keep acquiring more and more photo identification cards. And eventually you get yourself in a situation where you have 5 to 7 photo IDs from all these sources that normally wouldn't be necessarily in your wallet. And you can take it up to a library and start getting a library card in the city that you have this address in the city where you're doing all these gym memberships and Sam's Club identification cards, basically. And you basically just explain, well, my wallet was stolen, or I lost my wallet and I don't have my driver's license, I haven't been up there, I tried to get it one time but the line was backed out the door, and I have all of these identification cards, and I also have, here is my current electric bill. And it's great in a city where the electricity is deregulated and you don't have one company. Either that or get accustomed to the electric bills and get accustomed to Photoshop, and then you can just simply alter the name. And a lot of libraries will start issuing a library card that normally takes a driver's license to get, but that's a great way that you can start acquiring multiple forms of identification where people start believing who you are. And eventually that can lead into even greater things that I'm not going to discuss in this video. But you can really acquire a new alias and identification using this method. And it seriously works, guys. You just have to try it out. You can even acquire housing using this method, because people will just see all these things and understand, hey, you know, they'll just think back, you know, one time in real life my wife's purse was stolen at a restaurant. And she didn't have an ID for about 2 months. And it was just kind of funny, because people really do lose these things. And that's a legit responsibility. So when somebody were coming to me, if I was behind a counter and say my wallet was stolen at a restaurant, I don't know, I would think, you know, my wife's purse was, yeah, I understand, man, hard times. You know, just go in there legit, have a good story, look them in the eye when you talk to them. Don't stutter, just simply talk to them using your fake alias. Assume the identity. Forget who you were. Don't be nervous. You are this person. You legitimately have this problem. You approach the counters this way, and you present what you have, and if you're rejected, you're rejected. You just go on to the next. Don't get nervous about it, and you can start acquiring many false forms of this new identity. It's great, guys, and you can acquire many names using this method in many cities. And these are some of the techniques used by many intelligence agencies throughout the world to start acquiring new identification. Another thing that you want to do with your legitimate name, your real name, which mine, by the way, is not George Sester, is you want to take that real name and completely spread a bunch of disinformation about your real name. Because it would be great to select yourself a city, take a vacation to a city. If you like that city, start taking photographs of yourself in that city. And then you use things like Facebook, and you start putting your new location in this city. Here's your photograph in this city. Even if it's like a European country, take yourself a photo at this bar or a pub and just say, this is my buddy Sven over here, and we are having good times and good drinks, and you build yourself a whole complete disinformation system from a few photographs. You can create Zanga blogs and talk about your adventures, use legit city names, legit businesses in the area. Create a MySpace account, and you can completely send all these computers and spider bots through a whirlwind of false information on your real name. You need to make your real name disappear as much as you need to make your new aliases reappear. You can acquire all types of employment using these methods too under aliases, and that's for a smaller business, a mom and pop shop. If just somebody needs a apprentice laying tiles or something like that, you can acquire jobs just using these identification cards as well. I encourage everybody to stay within their legal limits. Never sign anything that says under penalty of perjury. Another great thing that you can do in these cities where your new identity is you find yourself news reporters and find local stories, find dirt on a council member or something like that, and rat out the council member using your false identification. Then you start getting news articles printed in your name and your photograph, and you can show people this is me in the newspaper, and that works as well. And that's also great for disinformation in other cities. If you are visiting another city, try to get into their local papers and any type of local directories, and you can send all these computers away from your real name. And nobody knows where you went, because obviously you don't live where all the disinformation is, and you do live where your new identification is. So and you can do this in multiple places, multiple IDs, multiple cities, wherever you choose to be, and this will make great getaway points, especially if you don't want to be RFID chipped like a dog. Now, this doesn't include any information about getting government identification, which is something a lot of people are drooling to have, and I'm not going to cover anything like that because that is illegal, like I said. But you can really work great in the citizen environment, in the public, with all these different forms of ID. People will get to know you as your new identification, and I encourage everybody to stay legit. Don't rip anybody off. Don't do anything illegal using this information, because really it's about keeping yourself anonymous, nothing more. It's about not receiving RFID, or it's about being able to get away from the RFID system and nobody knows where you are. It's about Facebook, because we all know Facebook has been scanned time and time again by law enforcement agencies to try to acquire your friends and family networks. Well, if all of a sudden I live in Tallahassee and I have photos in Tallahassee and I'm at bars or restaurants in Tallahassee, and then, all my friends think I live in Tallahassee, and all my family, if I've dumped out on them, basically, they'll all believe I'm in Tallahassee, and I don't live in Tallahassee. I'm rather George Sester living somewhere in Milwaukee. So that's a great way to just acquire an alias. You got your housing now, you got a way to live under an alias, and I'm going to make several videos on employment and how to travel later on, but you have to really learn the discipline on having a good alias first. So anyway, I'll catch you next time. Thank you.